What is up, YouTube? This is Cody for the Real Sports Talk, bringing you the Sprint Cup All-Star Race 2012 post-race video. Just in the showdown, there was a lot of good racing. AJ Allmendinger ends up blowing out a tire after being the pole sitter before the green flag even drops. He has to roll down pit road, and he actually ends up coming in second place, fighting his way back and getting into the All-Star race and making some noise there, but he didn't end up winning. And Dale Jr. ended up winning the showdown. Him and Martin Truex stayed out on a yellow flag, and the rest of the field came in for tires. Well, the rest of the field didn't come in, but the guys that stayed out ended up going behind the wall into the garage area. So the two guys that were left out were Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. And Martin Truex Jr. ended up putting up a little fight, but he ended up getting passed as we went into the closing laps of this showdown. So those two made it, and I'm guessing Junior was the fan favorite, or he was the fan favorite, but he obviously got in based on performance. So then Bobby Labonte ended up getting in as the fan choice for the All-Star race. So that was a good thing for Bobby and that 47 team. And he said before the race, we have to make a ton of adjustments. He wasn't really competitive at all in that race. Paul Menard and Kevin Harvick ended up getting together and having a little scuffle there in the All-Star race after that started, and Harvick ended up getting into the wall. We saw a lot of guys driving really hard, but not a lot of accidents, actually. I actually don't believe we saw any yellow flags for accidents. It was only engine failures and stuff like that. Two of the Roush Fenway drivers ended up blowing engines in the All-Star race, and that was Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle, and it was just some great racing out there. We saw guys fighting for $1 million, and they knew they had to win one of these stages, most likely, one of these segments, to be in contention for that $1 million, because that was how you got to the front at the end of the race. So, with a really unique situation there at the end, we saw guys just stopping in their pit box. They had to stop so their tires weren't moving, and then they got to go again at the end of the race because everyone loaded up on tires and stuff, and track position was really key in this race. And the guys at the front, it was really interesting because once they won a segment, they could just hang out at the back of the pack and they could ride around basically and just avoid trouble and save their stuff for the end. Jimmie Johnson ends up winning the first segment. He pulls out strong, and he was a great car in the first segment. You could just tell he was extremely good. And a lot of three-wide racing in this segment. The guys were just charging forward because, like I said, they knew they had to get a good finish in these segments in order to have a shot at the $1 million at the end. I believe it was $50,000 they also got for winning a segment, which is 20 laps long, and it had to be under green flag. The last 10 did, but yellow was included in the first ones. And obviously Edwards blew up with an engine, I said, in the first segment. Matt Kenseth, his teammate, ends up winning segment 2. And Dale Jr., who's a racing guy, also won the final segment, and he was very strong as well. In the third segment, Brad Keselowski ends up edging out Casey Kane, and he comes out with the segment victory there. In the third segment, Kane was charging hard, and it was like a photo finish at the line, really interesting to watch. That's what's great about these races. It puts different guys at the front, takes those dominant cars out, and so we see a little bit better racing, different guys at the front throughout the race, as opposed to just seeing the same guy up front leading laps for large portions of a race. So once a guy wins a segment, he heads to the back and saves his stuff. So on that last restart, as I said, with the 10 laps to go, the 4 drivers who won the segments, Johnson, Kenseth, Keselowski, and Jr. all came in, along with the rest of the field, because it was a mandatory pit stop. And they all just stopped and went, and the guys further back decided to take tires. My pick to win the race, Kyle Busch, really started charging toward the end. He was good in the beginning and at the end when his stuff was not really good to go, and it wasn't a time where he needed to be good. He needed to be good early and a lot before 8 laps to go or whenever he started charging forward again. Mark Samrose did all right, and I said Junior would be a guy to look out for. He obviously raced very well in this race, and he should be really excited just winning the race-in showdown and also being very competitive in this race. And on that last restart, Junior might have had a shot, but Kenseth spun the tires or something on the restart and didn't get going. and Johnson busted out the lead, and it was all said from there. Johnson wins, and I'm not really going to run through the results because it doesn't really matter. The guy that won the race got the $1 million, and that was Jimmie Johnson. Kind of cool. He had Rick Hendrick, his car owner, who he won the 200th race for in the Sprint Cup Series. He had him sit in his windowsill, and he kind of rode him around for the fans, and that was a neat thing to see. Never really saw anything like that before. And yeah, so that's the All-Star race. I'm going to move on to the Nationwide Series race. I've never really previewed one of these before, so I'm going to get a little more in depth than I usually do for these nationwide races. And so we're moving on to Iowa and the Pioneer Hybrid 200. Elliott Sadler and Sam Hornish are going to be at the front of the lineup with Sadler on the pole. And the Joe Gibbs Racing guys are really going to be something to watch in this race. I'm going to be very interested here. See guys don't get many chances. Michael McDowell, who raced in this event last year and also in some road course races in the Nationwide Series, he'll start in 4th position in the 18 car. And Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to be a guy to look out for. He's a guy, one of the guys that people are really looking at to really show the success of NASCAR's diversity program and bringing African Americans and young men like that up through the ranks and into the upper tiers of NASCAR racing. And Darrell Wallace Jr. in his first start, I'd actually really look out for him to be competitive. He starts in the 8th position, and he practiced well in 12th, so he'll be a guy to look out for as we look into this race and the Pioneer Hybrid 200. Danica Patrick qualified in 9th. Travis Pastrana in 15th. Danica was also 9th in practice. Matt Crafton practiced the car for Travis Pastrana a little bit. He's been helping him out, and it's been interesting. I've been impressed with Pastrana so far this season, but he's still got a long way to go. But what I've seen out of him in the first few races, just keeping in the races and finishing races, is very impressive, and making some good passes in the races on competitive cars. Like especially at Richmond, I think he broke his way into the top 10, and then he had that penalty. But Stenhouse ended up winning this race last year, and I think he has to be one of the favorites looking forward to this. But I'd also look out for Sam Hornish Jr. to get, I believe, his 2nd win in the series, and Elliott Sadler to close up that points gap in this race. And Michael McDowell might be someone to look out for because he has the experience, and he's trying to take advantage of an opportunity. He has good equipment. He came in 7th last year, and he'll be someone to look out for as we look forward to this race at Iowa. So hope everyone enjoyed the All-Star race, and check out the other videos on the Real Sports Talks channel. We got some good sports coverage for you. So, yeah, I'm out. Peace.